Welcome to week one, the foundation of spiritual leadership. I am really excited to have you join us on this transformational journey. Over the next few weeks, we'll explore what it means not just to lead with skills or knowledge, but most importantly, with your spirit. When you hear the spirituality of leadership about spiritual leaders such as churches, these are individuals who are in leadership positions in the marketplace, who are leading teams of people, who are working with people, who are responsible for impacting the lives of individuals. So this is a topic that, regardless of where you're at in your life, it is important that you understand the spirituality of leadership. And we're going to explore some things. So this is something that you don't want to miss. If you go to our website, Avodah Dynamics, and register for week two, I have a special surprise at the end of week two. This is a topic that you really don't want to miss. Leaders lead from their gifts, talents, and broken places. Leaders lead from a position of their gifts and talents, as well as their broken places. Let me give you an example. You can be gifted and talented in policy or uh, relationships. That could be your gift. That you have a great responsibility, or you're really good at developing relationships with people that you lead, and that you inspire them to be better. They think you are the best leader because you have this connectedness with them. But on the flip side, if you are a leader that is fearful and you fear change, or you fear the unknown, and you fear telling people the truth or having critical conversations, even though you have good relationships with people, in times of crisis or in times when the decision has to be made, you're held stagnant because you're leading from a place of unsurety, or you are a people pleaser, or you don't want people to be upset with you. So I like to use this analogy. It's very difficult to lead a team up a mountain if you're scared of heights. Leaders lead from their gifts and talents, but also from their broken places. You'll realize that leadership is a journey. It's a journey for the individual, and requires a leader to constantly evolve, grow, push themselves, and learn. So the reason why everything that we do here at Avodah Dynamics is really about developing the whole person, the whole leader, or the whole organization is because at the end of the day, if leaders lead from their gifts and talents, meaning you know who you are, you know your gifts, you know your talents, that little monkey that hides in the closet is your weaknesses or your broken places, or the things in your life are not where they need to be, you'll lead your team in places where you don't want to lead them. I want to put that in the back of your mind as we go off in this journey, because we'll talk about this in a greater detail in the next couple of weeks. But I want to put that for you as you think about this process. Leaders lead from their gifts and talents. You are a leader, you're gifted, you're talented, you have these great ideas and thoughts, but if you don't deal with the broken places, it impacts your ability to lead. Leaders lead from their gifts and talents, but also from their broken places. Leadership is about more than just strategies or techniques. It's really about purpose, vision, and values. It's about the impact you leave on people and the way that you lead a legacy that transcends generations. When you talk about leadership, it's more than just strategies or techniques. Most of the time you hear about how to be an effective leader, and there are books that's written about it, but it's hinged upon this idea of having a purpose, vision, and values. At the end of the day, it's about the impact on the lives of people and the legacy that transcends generations. The people you lead, you impact their life and their family. And so, therefore, being a leader not only is about vision, purpose, and values, it's also about the impact on generations to come. This week, we'll focus on understanding the foundation of spiritual leadership. Together, we'll dive into what it means to lead from the spirit and how it connects to your soul, mind, will, and emotions, and how these principles manifest in your actions as a leader. You have an opportunity to reflect on your leadership abilities, what you value, and personal mission statements. We'll talk about developing a mission statement later in this class. Leaders lead from their gifts and talents, but also from their broken places. I'm going to share one of my favorite scriptures with you. Where there is no vision, people perish. Vision is the heart of leadership. The spirit of a leader causes us to connect to a vision greater than ourselves. When a leader has a vision, it allows them to connect to something far greater than what they can do themselves. If there's a leader that does not have a vision, processes, programs, things that need to be completed fail. Without a vision, people perish. So, we'll cover 5 topics quickly. We're not going to eat up a lot of your time. There's only an hour. We're going to talk about what spiritual leadership is and why it matters, the triune nature of leadership, spirit, soul, and body, the core principles like integrity, compassion, and service, and external impact on leadership on those you serve, and the practical steps to begin aligning your leadership and your values. Thank you for joining me this Saturday morning. I guarantee you, we're going to learn something today as we explore the spirituality of leadership. Now, let's define what spiritual leadership is. It is a style of leadership that integrates values, purpose, and higher calling to inspire and guide others. It focuses on influencing people at its core of their being, their spirit, while fostering growth in their minds and their emotions. Spiritual leadership is a leadership style that integrates your values, purpose, and a higher calling to inspire and guide others. For example, purpose-driven actions. What do you do every single day in the people that you lead that is driven based upon purpose? I've spent my whole life working with individuals from youth to adults. Great leaders are driven by purpose. If you're driven by purpose, then your actions are lined up with the purpose in which you are driving the organization. Whatever decisions you make should be driven by purpose. Number 2, your ultimate goal is to focus on inspiring others. What does that mean? That you are inspiring others, not controlling or directing them. Most of the time, people think great leaders are individuals that rule with an iron fist, barking orders, the commander in chief. In a day where multiple processes are needed, projects, there are probably more things that we have to do now than 50 or 20 or 30 years ago that requires individuals who have multiple gifts and multiple talents. Great leaders today focus on inspiring others versus controlling or directing them. Even though you go through a process of hiring people or you have a team of people that you lead, the way you get the best out of them is you focus on inspiring them to be great, to challenge them to be great, versus trying to control and spend all of your time directing them. For the last few years, I've worked on a team of individuals. I saw myself as the point guard. I didn't score many points, but I knew how to make sure that if a certain shot needed to be taken as far as a project or the person who needed to take a lead on a project, I ensured that I was able to give that person the autonomy, creativity, and support they needed to get the project better. What happens? That means that the individuals over the period of that time where I was inspiring them to be great and providing tidbits and techniques and growing and asking critical questions, what ends up happening, you created ownership and that individual grows as a person. So when you talk about the spirituality of leadership, it's about focusing on inspiring others rather than spending all your time controlling or directing. One of the things I find with ineffective leaders that they think they know everything about what everyone should be doing, and they think they're the masters of everything. Great leaders ask great questions. Great leaders are learners. Great leaders don't know everything, but they ask people critical questions. So not only do they learn, but they also gather insight to become the best they can be. They prioritize values over results. When they're choosing a job or working for someone, or choosing to lead or not to lead, or choosing to engage or not engage, you have to be rooted in what you value, what is important to you as an individual, especially as a leader. What is it that you value? Because whatever you value determines the output and why it matters. Results are important, but values are more important. Why are you doing the things that you're doing? How does it enhance the bottom line? How does it increase the vision of what you're trying to do? Every company, every organization that all of us work for or we've created are designed to solve a problem to make life better for other individuals. If you're not a spiritually led leader, oftentimes you'll go for the bag versus the intended value of what you're trying to solve and the people that you're trying to help. Money is great, but all money is not good money if it jeopardizes your values. So why does all of this matter? Number one, spiritual leadership creates an alignment between your inner purpose and external actions. It fosters trust, collaboration, and a shared sense of mission in teams and organizations. At the end of the day, great leaders lead great teams. Great teams have great impact, and great impact have great results. Who you are as a leader, what you value, the things that are part of your core being impacts those who you lead, and those who you lead have impacts on the results that the team has that has an impact on the livelihood of others or the ability to enhance the lives of others, regardless of what industry you're in. At the end of the day, it fosters trust, collaboration, a shared sense of mission, team, and organizations. Through spiritual leadership, connectedness, and being rooted in your core values, you're able to develop these relationships with individuals that transcend the outcome of what you're trying to create, but also the lives of the individuals that you lead. So I'm going to talk about spirit, soul, and body and explain why this is important. This is not a Bible study class or whatever, but I'm going to really root it into this idea of spirituality of leadership from an element of the triune nature of man that you oftentimes you hear in church, or you talk about man is a spirit that has a soul and lives in a body. Then we all, to a certain degree, live, lead, or exist in that element. The spirit of a man is the core of our being. It represents our purpose, connection, and higher values. The spirit is the core of our being. It represents our purpose, our connections, and higher value. It is the unseen thing that only you know exists. For an example, if you're a person that believes in God and you believe that right and wrong, based upon scripture, based upon your religious beliefs, if that is the core of your being, that is the place where no one knows. Not saying that you outwardly say it, but you inwardly live it day to day. It becomes your litmus test of your life. you eventually will lead out of that place. Leaders lead with their gifts and their talents, but they also lead from their broken places, or more importantly, the inward places. What you believe are your values, you lead from the element of your values. If I truly believe that treating people with decency and integrity is a part of what I believe we is a core of my belief system, I lead from that place. Now, if I don't believe in treating people kind and fair, I may do politically correct things, but eventually the core of who I am will come out. If I'm a person that don't really care about people, eventually over time, the true part of me will come out. Inwardly, the spirit, soul, will, and emotions, the things that you do and the things that you say outwardly expresses the spiritual intentions through thoughts, decisions, and feelings. Okay. So the inward places where no one will ever see, the things that you deal with in your heart, the things that you believe are core to who you are, the things that no one can ever really know about you, only you and God know, in the secret places where no one knows, it is your mind, your will, and your emotions will express itself. Okay. Your mind, your will, and your emotions will express itself through thoughts, decisions, and feelings. If you have broken places in your life as a leader, you lead from those broken places. If you don't work on those areas of your life in which you struggle, it will manifest itself in due time because it is very hard to lead a people up a mountain if you're scared of heights. Eventually, what will manifest is we're going to take another way or do something completely different or justify your decisions. Even though the right decision is to go up the mountain, you'll go around it, you'll skirt through it, you'll say today is not the day, because at the end of the day, in the inward part where no one else sees, you're going to make a decision. So once again, the core of our being influences our mind, our will, our emotions, and our thoughts. We make our decisions from our spiritual place where no one else sees. As leaders, you lead from your spirit, from the inward outward, not the reverse. You can dress up a leader, give a title to a leader, give a degree to a leader, but what ends up manifesting in that leader will be at the core of what that individual is. We'll talk about it. Well, in the next couple of weeks, we'll talk about something called the spirit of the law. The body is the action, the behavior that manifests the leadership. The soul is the mind, will, and emotions that often determines our decisions, actions, or thoughts. For an example, I don't like people in my spirit, but I'm called to be a leader because leaders make more money, right? Well, I'm not called to be a leader. I am a leader, but I treat people mean. In my interview, I sound real nice. The first couple of days, I'm really, really nice. And then after the honeymoon period, because I don't like people, every decision that I make would be a decision that only benefits me, not the people that I serve. I spend all my time in the position of a leader, not doing things that even help my team because I don't care about people. I make decisions that don't benefit people. So I spend all my time brutalizing, tearing people down, destroying people. Anytime a person makes a decision, I'm either going to terminate them, fire them, kick them out, or whatever, because in my inward place where no one knows, and I played it off when I interviewed or in the beginning stages, I really didn't like people. And over time, it'll manifest itself in actions. So, what I want you to do is identify just briefly one spiritual value that drives your leadership. And how does it show up in your decisions and actions? If you want to write it in the chat, definitely do that as well. What is one of your spiritual values that drives your leadership? And how does it show up in your decisions and actions? Just take 1 second for that. One spiritual value that drives your leadership, and how does it show up in your decisions and actions? My example is that I'm a very compassionate leader. I truly care about the people that I lead. I feel that if I am leading a person, it is an honor to lead that person. I really believe in being compassionate and serving the people that I lead. So, what does that mean? I check on them not based upon what I ask them to do or the responsibility that I give them. I ask them how they're doing, how's their life, their mental health, their family, their children. I get to know them individually because I care about people that I lead, literally care. Even in cases I've cared about people that I led who didn't even like me, but I still care. And at the end of the day, whatever they needed for them to do their job well and for them to be successful, I led from that place of compassion and love. So that's one of the things that is my core beliefs or my core values that really drives my leadership is really compassion and servicehood. And I serve my people. Here's some core principles of spiritual leadership: integrity, compassion, service, and vision. Integrity is aligning your actions with values, being honest and trustworthy. Great leaders are honest and trustworthy. Compassion, understanding, and addressing the needs of others with empathy. Service, leading with the goal of serving others and prioritizing their growth. Serving, leading with goals of serving others and prioritizing their growth, not my growth. I said, I'm at the point of my career that I become better based upon the individuals who I am leading, that they also become great leaders themselves. It's not about me anymore. It's really about the individuals who see me as a leader, as a coach, as a mentor. My ultimate goal is to serve them and to see them grow, not necessarily my individual growth. I grow because I watch them grow, right? Having a clear, purpose driven goal that inspires others. Are you living a life in such a way where your vision for your life is inspiring others? Or do they look at you as just being another person? So when I think about these things: integrity, compassion, service, and vision. Next week, I want to talk about a couple of ways you can take each one of these things and embody that in your leadership. What does that mean? How do you embody integrity, or how can you start embodying integrity? How can you start embodying compassion and service or vision? Think about these things. So next week when we talk about it, because we're going to go really deep, this is the first week into it. I really want you to think about, how do you embody that? How do you really capture it? How do you make that a part, or one of these a part of what you work on every single day? And how do you make that a part of your leadership strategy? Now, with that being the case, we're going to make a shift and we're going to talk about that eternal impact of leadership. What does that mean? We're not necessarily talking about heaven or hell or what happens in the afterlife. What that simply means is, what is the impact of your leadership that it has on future generations? I believe in serving people and caring for people. And a part of my leadership has always been, what impact do I have on not only that person that is following me, but also the impact of them spending a brief moment under me as a leader? What impact will that have on their kids and their families and future generations? Leadership not only affects individuals, but also the generation they influence. When you hire someone, one of the greatest joys of being a leader is when you give someone their first job. When you give someone their first job and it's the first time they made more money than they ever could possibly have, coming fresh out of college or fresh out of whatever, understanding that When you hire someone, you made a commitment to their growth. When you hire somebody, it impacts them and their family forever, just as if you let someone go, you have an impact on their life. So as a leader, do you ever think about how much your leadership impacts not only the employee, but future generations? Your impact should transcend generations in a good way, but it also can in a bad way. Leadership has a ripple effect. Values, ethics, and purpose are instilled by leaders as a part of a lasting legacy. What you do impacts others and it transfers values, ethics, and purpose in other people's lives. Some of us became leaders because we had bad leaders. Some of us became leaders because we wanted to make a difference. Some of us became leaders because we wanted money. At the end of the day, values, ethics, and purpose are critical. A leader who models service and integrity creates a culture that perpetuates values. When you serve others with integrity, it increases the value of the organization. I've been in corporate America, and most people, we spend a lot of money and a lot of consultants talk about, I'm going to change the culture of the organization. I'm going to change the culture. The reason why you cannot change the culture is because the unseen thing in the spirit of the leader has never been addressed. You cannot change values if they exist or at the core of the leader. The reason why you have terrible culture is that you have values instilled in leaders that are not effective for the organization. If you want to have a warm and fuzzy environment, you'll typically find at the core level of leadership, they have a sense of care and compassion. If you want a driven culture that only cares about the bottom line, whatever's in that leader instills that culture and the value system. If you want a culture built on service and integrity, it must first be a part of the heart of the individual that's leading. It cannot happen any other way. Regardless of how much money you throw into the situation, regardless how much training you throw into the situation, this whole thing about the spirituality of leadership, leaders lead from gifts and talents, but also live from broken places or unseen places that no one else sees. If we can fix the inward part of leaders and have leaders who are daily working on the inward part, they have the ability to be more effective and efficient leaders. Decisions made today can inspire or hinder future leaders. For example, I've known tons of inspiring leaders who did not want to become leaders based upon the individuals who were leading. I have seen individuals who have great potential, have the ability to do great things, but because of poor leadership, they chose not to lead, or have tried to leave positions of leadership because they did not like the leaders that were leading them. Decisions made today can inspire or hinder future leaders. Great leaders inspire great leaders, but sometimes people who have the potential of being great can come in contact with terrible leaders, and it gets them to second guess the purpose of leading. Okay. So as we close out today, there's a couple of things we're going to leave out, but I want to ask you this question. What legacy do you want to leave as a leader? Think about that in great detail. Leadership is not just in corporate America, it can be in your family. What kind of legacy do you want to leave as a leader? What kind of legacy do you want to leave as an individual? What legacy do you want to leave? Want a compassion, want a hope, want honesty, want integrity. How do you want people to remember you as a leader? So, once again, thank you for joining me. We start off a little rough. Next week, it'll definitely get better. If you enjoyed it, please go to our website, Avodah Dynamics, register for the week. We'll also be giving out a workbook with this, answer questions, take notes, etc. We'll send it out to individuals on here. If you want to DM me your email, I'll send you the workbook via email. But next week, just register because next week we're going to talk, we can go greater detail into this, but you really don't want to miss the session where we talk about the spirit of law. Means this, regardless of what policies are, if it's not in the spirit of those who lead, they're not going to follow what is in that policy. So regardless of what people say, how many of us have ever been in meetings and said, we're going to talk about how we treat people, right? And we have a policy on how leaders need to treat or what is the due process, right? They'll talk about, oh, we're going to treat people with ethics and morals and all that stuff. But in the heart of leaders, there is no ethics or morality in that. It doesn't matter what the policy says. If the heart of the individual is not there, they're never going to make those decisions. So what we're going to talk about the next 4 weeks is not just leadership, how to be a great leader. It's about making sure that we do the inward work to become great leaders so that we can inspire and impact the lives of others. Thanks for joining me on this first Saturday in January of 2025. We appreciate you and look forward to seeing you next week at 10:30 sharp. Have a great week. I'll get those emails and links out to you. I'll put it in the link below. Thank you. Appreciate you. Bye.